Hello fellow Inquisitors, Split Persona here, and welcome back to another Inquisitor Martyr tutorial video. Today we are finally talking rifles. Now, there's a few things to go over with rifles. One, they can only be used by 3 of the classes. They can be used by the Crusader here, they can be used by the Assassin, and they can be used by the DLC character, the Sister of Battle. And they're set up in almost a tiered category setup. And I'll show you what I mean here. So, the Sister of Battle only has access to 2 rifles. Those being the Boltgun and the Melta Gun. The Assassin has access to both of those weapons, as well as the Plasma Gun and the Grav-Gun. The Crusader has access to all 4 of those weapons and the Autogun, the shotgun, and the Lasgun. So think of it like a tier system almost, if you would. Not saying one is better than the other, but Sister of Battle only gets 2 rifles, the Assassin gets 4 rifles, and the Crusader gets 7. So, depending on whether you want access to all of the rifles, you may need to go with a Crusader. So, keep that in mind if you are looking for a rifle or, trying to farm one up. You will not be getting it if you pick a Sister of Battle and you're trying to get, a really good Lasgun. You just won't get it because the Sister of Battle can only use the Boltgun and the Melta Gun. So, like I said, it's not necessarily that one is better than the other. It's just how they're set up. The Sister of Battle has access to combo weapons, which are a class exclusive for her. The Assassin has the Assassin has access to sniper rifles, which is a class exclusive. So keep that in mind. You're going to be relying on more utility perks with those other 2 classes, whereas your Crusader is normally going to be more weapon skill focused. Weapon skill and utility focused. You're not going to be really using, a ton of like your armor skills or, anything else. You're not going to be using your Saint form like you would with your Sister of Battle. So you're going to have access to pretty much every weapon out there. So that's why it's set up like that. But we are going to jump into the video, and we are first going to cover these 2 here, the Boltgun and the Melta Gun. And we're going to just, quote-unquote, progress up the ladder as we go. And cover first the Sister of Battle's weapons, then the Assassin's weapons, and then finally the Crusader's weapons, which would be the final 3. Okay, so the first weapon we're going to talk about is the Boltgun. It's going to have single shot, long range, armor breaking, vulnerability, breacher, and single target. Full auto, long range, salvo, fleshbane, spread, moderate, high suppression, breacher, and single target. Aimed shot, aimed, armor breaking, knockdown, knockback, better criticals, single target. And then frag burst, long range. Salvo, spread wide, weak versus armor, high suppression, and area effect. So this is going to be a ammo-fed rifle. So keep that in mind. Your first one, single shot, it's just like any other single shot gun. You're just going to go, you're going to fire, and it's just going to go and just be on a slight cooldown and use up one shot at a time. Your full auto is going to fire completely full auto, as it says. You're just going to continuously fire. Frag burst. We're going to skip aim shot until I find an enemy. Because I need to show that off. It's very similar to a sniper skill. Frag burst is basically an AoE attack that will destroy cover, it will destroy barrels, it'll destroy anything in the area. So, let's go forward, see if we can find an enemy, and I'll show off aimed shot. So, if I go up here and I do that, you've seen that little target reticle appear for a second, and as I held down the button, it cycled through different various body parts that I could target. Very similar to how some of the sniper skills worked that I covered on the assassin video. Basically, you target a body part, and then once it hovers over it, you release it, and it will deal damage to that. If it's a headshot, it'll deal criticals. If it's a leg, it will slow them down. Stuff like that. So, let's go, and we'll just show this off a bit. So, full auto. We'll go find an enemy, and we'll show off single shot. And then frag. As you can see, it's weak versus armor, but it does a lot of damage to groups. So, that is the Boltgun. Okay, so the next one we're going to talk about is Melta Gun. Single shot, medium range. Armor breaking, flesh bane, vulnerability heat, breacher, single target. Melta Blast, medium range. Persistent, knockdown, knockback, slow, area effect. Melting Ray, medium range. Fleshbane, giant killer, demolisher, single target. Inferno Beam, medium range. Channeled, barrage, armor piercing, single target, burning DOT. The way this one works as opposed to the Boltgun, the Boltgun is more for unarmored targets. The Melta Gun is for armor. So, your single shot, pretty much the same as every other single shot weapon. You're going to fire off one continuous burst. However, if you look at my targeting reticle, there is a range. You can only go to half the circle. So it is a medium range weapon. You are not going to get all the way out here with it. You are going to only be able to go so far. It is a medium ranged weapon. It is also a heat-based weapon. Not ammo-fed, but you will have to watch your heat gauge. If it builds up too much heat, you will overheat the weapon and it will have to go onto a cooldown. So, that is single shot. Melta Blast goes and is on a very long cooldown, But you fire it off, it generates a huge AoE ball of fire and damages anything in the area. It is extremely powerful, extremely good for taking down a large group of armored enemies. Melting Ray. This one here is a little bit different. This one is, I can show you, very similar to your single shot. However, you will not be using this regularly. The way this one works is it has the ability called Giant Killer. Now, Giant Killer does an extra 100% damage bonus against villain, commander, boss, and elite enemies. This Melting Ray is how you deal a ton of damage to boss enemies. It doesn't do anything for their armor. But, considering this here has a lot of potential to break down armor other ways, this Melting Ray is how you just deal, once their armor has been broken, you just go and hit them with Melting Ray and deal that extra 100% damage bonus. You can still do it with their armor on, but my suggestion would be first to eliminate the armor. Finally, you have Inferno Beam. Just a solid beam of pure fire. Now, as you can see, it generates a lot of heat. Now, I have my skill tree maxed out for heat, so it's not filling up as fast. If I did not, it would be completely full by now, and it would not be going down this quickly. So keep that in mind. If you use this beam, you will be filling that up extremely fast. So, let's find some enemies and show it off. So, single shot. I can get up close. As you can see, it does a lot of damage to them. We're going to use the Melta Blast. And as you can see, it leaves a puddle behind, which will damage enemies. Melting Ray we'll just use on this guy. Oop, if he didn't move. As you can see, it's just like everything else. It has the bonus ability, though, of Giant Killer, so keep that in mind. And then we're going to see if we can't use Inferno Beam. Oh, perfect. You guys will do nicely. And as you can see, it just mows right through them. So, that is the Melta Gun. Next, we are going to move on to the weapons that the Assassin has access to. So, these are the two weapons that the Sister of Battle has access to. The Assassin has access to these, plus the next two. So we're going to move on to those. Okay. So the first of the next tier of weaponry that is exclusive to the Assassin is going to be the Plasma Gun. It's going to have single shot, long range, slow projectile, fleshbane, demolisher, single target. Short burst, long range, rapid fire, slow projectile, armor breaking, knockback, spread tight, single target. Focused bolt, long range, piercing, AoE, slow projectile, armor piercing, vulnerability heat, compressed plasma, long range, charged shot, armor piercing, area effect. This weapon is probably something that a lot of people know. It's very popular. So, you have your single shot, standard, stuff like that. And as you can see, I'm building up a heat gauge. So this is another heat-based weapon. So you have your standard single shot. Then you have short burst. It's going to fire a 3-round burst. And it's on a pretty decently long cooldown. However, it does have armor breaking knockback on it. So those two abilities come in very handy if you are fighting against something that is heavily armored. So keep that in mind. Then you have Focused Bolt. Focused Bolt is going to be your armor piercing ability, as well as adding the heat vulnerability tag to something. So we're going to fire it, and it generates a little bit of an AoE field. Nothing special, but your main thing for that is to add the heat vulnerability and the armor piercing. Then your final thing is Compressed Plasma. That is going to go and be a charged shot, which is going to deal a large area effect, kind of like a mini grenade burst, think of it. So this rifle has, in essence, the equivalency of a small grenade launcher on a very short cooldown. So let's go find some enemies, and we'll show off first single burst, and then short burst, focus bolt, and then compressed plasma. So we're going to show off single bolt, and as you can see, it does deal quite a bit of damage. Then we're going to do short burst, and as you can see, it does deal quite a bit. Then we're going to do focus bolts, and as you've seen, it pierced the target. So if you have a row of targets, you can line up the shots and go straight through them. Then we're going to launch compressed plasma. And as you can see, it just destroys everything in an area. It is a very good AoE. I should be able to actually target stuff up here. Let's hit this group here. Yep. As you can see, they're all taking damage. Take him out with this, and you'll see the heat vulnerability tag was applied to him for a little bit, and it does deal very good damage to enemies. So, that there is the Plasma Gun. A very, very good weapon, I would say. Next, we have the Grav-Gun, and this is a fun little weapon. It's the last one that the assassin has access to, but is an extremely, extremely fun weapon to have. You have single shot, long range, armor piercing, strong versus armored, demolisher, single target, temporal anomaly, long range, piercing, AoE, stun, slow, single target, gravity surge, long range, channeled, high suppression. And then you have gravity implosion, long range, persistent, slow, demolisher, area effect. The way this weapon works is, and I'll show it here on this piece of cover. If I target this with single shot, you can see that it deals a lot of damage to cover. That is because of the demolisher perk on this. If you have enemies behind cover, the gravity gun will absolutely rip through it. And as you've seen, there again, this is another heat-based weapon, so keep that in mind. Single shot, just like every other, weapon one shot at a time on a slight cooldown. Temporal Anomaly is a piercing bolt. It will go through multiple opponents, it will stun them, and it will also slow them down. So keep that in mind if you have a long corridor with a lot of enemies. Line them up, shoot that off. Gravity Surge. This one is interesting. If I were to come over to, say, this here, and I target it, it is a continuous beam attack that I can just move around and it'll follow my cursor. So whatever I target, that beam will attack, but it will build up your heat bar very quickly. The final one is Gravity Implosion. And this is what makes the Grav-Gun, in my opinion, one of the funnest guns to play around with. It basically makes a miniature black hole in the area. It does a lot. It'll stay there for 5 seconds. It demolishes cover, and it slows anything that will go through it, as well as dealing damage to them. If I hit it up here, as you can see, it does a large area. And you can increase how big that area gets with your AoE perk tree. So keep that in mind. If you want to run this gun and you use that ability on it, spec into your perk tree for increasing how big your AoE abilities are. So let's find some enemies and show off what this thing can do. So single shot, as you can see. Then we're going to do Temporal Anomaly. Scene goes through it. Then we're going to do Gravity Surge. Oop, that didn't work as well. Let's see if we can't find another small group here. There we go. And as you can see, it's just ripping right through them. So, next, Gravity Implosion. And as you can see, it is absolutely damaging anything that comes into that area. It doesn't last long, only lasts for about 5 seconds, but it is enough to absolutely devastate both the enemies and any sort of cover they are behind. So if you can't get to an enemy because they're hiding behind cover, you know, that perk there is definitely, the Gravity Implosion is definitely something you want to go. But the Grav-Gun is, in my opinion, one of the funnest guns to have. I definitely recommend, if you have a gravity build, this is definitely the gun for you. So that is the last of the assassin weapons. Next, we are going to go on to the Crusader and the final tier of weapons. Okay, so the first weapon we are going to talk about is the Autogun. Short burst, long range, rapid fire, fleshbane, spread, tight, weak versus armor, single target. Full auto, long range, salvo, fleshbane, spread moderate, weak versus armor, high suppression, single target. Aimed shot, long range, aimed, knockback, better criticals, single target. Shoot and retreat, long range, salvo, slow, spread, moderate, weak versus armor, single target. This weapon here is more about your unarmored targets. If you're going into just an extermination mission that's a low level, this weapon will do just fine. I would not recommend this at higher levels simply because it has absolutely nothing to offer for armor. Every single one of those skills, except for aimed shot, makes it weak to armor. And at higher levels, you are going to encounter a lot more armor. So I would not recommend this gun at higher levels. However, it does have a few interesting functions. Short burst fires off a 3-round burst instead of a single shot like most weapons. It is an ammo-fed rifle.
Loading.
So we are back to the ammo-fed. You have full auto, which just hold the trigger and spray and pray. Nothing more, you know, Warhammer 40k than that.
Reloading.
Aimed shot is the same as on the Boltgun. Just aim at a target, hold down the attack button, wait for the reticle to appear, select which body part you want to hit, and release. You can just tap the button, and it will auto-select the head and try to go for a critical. So keep that in mind. Aimed shot will try to go for a critical. So just remember that. And then shoot and retreat will automatically back you up as you fire at hordes of enemies in front of you. So that is a very interesting feature if you begin to get overrun. Like I said, it's a very good weapon to have early level. I would not recommend it later simply because of the whole not having a bonus for armor. And as you get higher, you're going to have higher armored enemies. So, let's go find some enemies, and we'll show it off. And there should be some up here. Let's see here. Yep. So we're going to show off first short burst. And as you can see, this guy is armored, and I'm not doing much damage to him. We're going to target that, however, and we are doing quite a bit of damage to it. So, then we're going to show full salvo. Without his armor, we did a ton of damage. So, Thunderbolt of Authority took off his armor for us, and then we hit him with full salvo, and it just shredded it. So, against regular enemies without armor, this will work very well. Aim shot, same. Just target an enemy and go. We're going to get up in here, and then we're just going to fire and retreat. Or shoot and retreat, sorry. And just go from there. So, if you let go of the button, it will go, and as you see here, go on to a short cooldown, and you have to wait. So it is a continuous channel. You will have to go and hold that button down, and you will need to hold that while you are retreating. If you let go, it'll go into cooldown mode, and then you may be stuck. So, like I said, I would not recommend the Autogun for later levels, simply because it does begin to lack the firepower later. As an early weapon, it is very good. Later on, however, I would say dispose of this for a Boltgun if you're going for a physical weapon. The Boltgun, consider that the upgraded version of the Autogun. So, that is the Autogun, the first of the 3 Crusader exclusive rifles. Okay, so the next one we're going to talk about is the Lasgun. you have single shot, long range, piercing, AoE, vulnerability heat, better criticals, short burst, long range, rapid fire, fleshbane, spread tight, single target, aimed shot, long range, aimed, better criticals, single target, burning DOT. And then you have hot shot, long range, channeled, barrage, breacher. Now, this one has, again, aim shot, similar to what we saw on both the Autogun and the Boltgun. So we don't need to cover that again. Just know that this one adds the burning DOT tag to an enemy. So it'll burn them, add, you know, a little bit of heat damage, stuff like that. Single shot is just regular, normal. However, this has two additional features. It has the piercing AoE tag on it, as well as the heat vulnerability tag on it. So this will deal heat damage as well as piercing damage to enemies. Short burst. Quick fire, you know, stuff like that. And as you see, that is generating heat. A lot of heat. This is another heat-based weapon. So keep that in mind. Again, this is more of a anti-infantry than an arm. So the only thing that might help you out is possibly aimed shot. Other than that, everything else is just regular. Nothing is specifically geared towards armor. Hot shot is very similar to shoot and retreat, except you are firing a solid beam. So you're going to fire a solid beam. Your heat is going to continuously build up here. So keep that in mind, but you will be going and able to retreat like that. So let's go show it off and see what it can do. So first we're going to do single shot. As you can see, I do deal damage, but against the armored target, not much. We're going to go with short burst, and as you can see, I am dealing quite a bit to just regular enemies. Aim shot, you know, it does do some. Let's let this guy charge in. And then we're going to just, same thing as before, we're going to hit him with that and then apply our heat vulnerability tag. And then we have hot shot, where we're going to just target him and back up. And then once his armor's gone, he's vulnerable. So just take him out the rest of the way and target his head. Away he goes. So that there is the Lasgun. Like I said, it's a decent anti-infantry weapon. Once you reach, you know, this point with the Crusader, you normally will not be using rifles. As the Crusader, you will more than likely be using your class-specific heavy weapons. So I would say the Lasgun is definitely overpowered by the Melta Gun. And in turn, the Melta Gun is overpowered by the multi-Melta. So while the Lasgun is, you know, good against regular enemies, it does not offer a lot in the way of armored enemies or high damage. Still an all-around decent weapon, early level, but once you get higher, I would say put it away, get something better. So, that is the Lasgun. On to the last rifle. Okay. The last rifle is a bit of an odd one, but when you look at the crafting recipe, it does fall under the rifle tag. The shotgun. Single shot, medium range. Shred, knockback, giant killer, and cone effect AoE. Burst shot, medium range. Assault, shred, knockback, weak versus armor, cone effect AoE. Flechette round, medium range. Piercing, AoE. Knock down, knock back, bleed, DOT, charged shot, cone effect, AoE. And then finally, man stopper round, medium range. Armor breaking, knock down, knock back, giant killer, single target. Now, these first two skills you have here have what's called shred. The way this works is, the closer you are to a target, the more damage you do. So, as the tag says, damage decreases over distance -2% per meter. So, like I said, the farther you are away from a target, the less damage you do. The closer, the more. So, single shot, just like it says, you're just going to deal, you know, a single shot at a time, and it is an ammo-fed weapon. But if you noticed, it is spreading out in a solid cone in front of you. Then you have burst shot. And if I just simply click, my character advances. So this right here can potentially override your shred so that you're not dealing, you know, the whole damage decrease debuff. So if you need to advance quickly, this will go and get you up into an area. It's kind of the reverse of shoot and retreat, if you would. Then you have flechette rounds. This one here can be charged. You can just either regularly shoot it. It'll knock down opponents, knock them back, cause bleeding. But the nice thing with this is, if you charge it, it will tighten how much of an area it will go. Instead of it being, you know, a big cone of area of effect, it'll reduce the size of it, and you can target it onto one large enemy. That is very helpful against going against, like, a boss or an elite enemy. You can focus all of that damage onto one target. And then this last one, Man Stopper Round, is your go-to for bosses. It has the Giant Killer ability. It has Armor Breaking, Knock Down, and Knock Back. So basically this is going to be, instead of a cone effect like that, it is going to be a single giant bullet that you are going to shoot out. And I need an enemy to show that off. So we're going to start with the Man Stopper round. So let me find an enemy. And, ooh, there's an armored enemy right there. So we're going to just run up here. And as you can see, I hit him with the man-stopper round. And he's already, like, severely damaged. I hit him again, and he's gone. So we're going to go single shot. And as you can see, I'm not dealing a ton of damage because I'm far away. If I get right up in their... Well, that sucked. If I find an enemy and I get right up in their face... Let's hit you with man-stopper. Again, I hit him with man-stopper rounds, and that is how you deal damage to your enemies. If I get up close and I hit them with, you know, just a regular shot, it does a lot of damage. So, then we're going to have the burst shot. As you've seen, I just advance very quickly. We're going to charge this up, and we're going to do the flechette round. And as you've seen, all his armor went away. It's a bit chaotic with the shotgun, simply because you have to be quick. If you're not quick with it, you're going to get overwhelmed. Simply because the way it works, let's charge it up. And as you've seen, that did nothing because I was too far away. Advancing, again, I did some. Charge up. And it just obliterates them. So the shotgun is very good at close range. Against enemies from a longer range, not so much. Up close, very effective. So that is all of the rifle that the game has to offer. You have the two for the Sister of Battle, the Boltgun and the Melta Gun. You have the two that the Assassin gains on top of it, the Plasma Gun and the Grav-Gun. And then you have the three that the Crusader has access to. The Autogun, the Lasgun, and the Shotgun. In my opinion, as closing thoughts, these first four, very, very, very good weaponry. These last three, I hardly ever use. The Autogun, the Lasgun, and the Shotgun. The reason for that is the Autogun, in my opinion, can easily be replaced by the heavy bolter. The Lasgun can be replaced by either the multi-melta or the heavy flamer if you want a heat-based weaponry. And the shotgun you could replace with pretty much anything. You have the grenade launcher, or you have, you know, a plasma cannon if you want to go another heat-based weapon. You have your heavy bolter if you wanted to go with that. So there are other options for your Crusader. The Sister of Battle and the Assassin do not have access to heavy weapons. So those options are limited to just Boltgun and Melta Gun for Sister of Battle, and then Boltgun, Melta Gun, Plasma Gun, and Grav-Gun for the Assassin. However, both of those classes make up for it with their class-specific weapons. Sister of Battle gets the combo weapons, and the Assassin gets the sniper rifles. The Crusader gets the heavy weapons. And as much as I hate to say it, by the time you start unlocking the heavy weapons for the Crusader, who is only able to wield these, he's the only class that can wield the Autogun, the Lasgun, and the Shotgun. As much as I hate to say it, those weapons become obsolete in my opinion. So I would say that these 3 weapons are not worth building a character around. I would suggest, like I said, the Autogun, easily replaceable by either the heavy bolter or, something along those lines, like even the Boltgun. The Boltgun outdoes the Autogun in my opinion. The Lasgun, easily outdone by either the Melta Gun or throw in a Grav-Gun. A Grav-Gun build is fantastic for a Crusader. Very good area of effect, very good armor penetration and armor destroying capabilities. There's a lot you can do with a Crusader that does not use these 3 weapons. As far as the Assassin, the fact that the Assassin has access to these 4, very helpful. An Assassin with a Grav-Gun build, extremely good. Normally, Assassins go for, the sniper in one weapon slot and then, another weapon, normally a melee in the other. Sometimes going long range, with those slow firing snipers is not the way to go. Sometimes you need better crowd control. A Grav-Gun does very well for crowd control. Sometimes you need to go and, just deal with a whole bunch of Tyranids on a purge mission. A Boltgun, very good for taking care of that. Or even a Melta Gun, extremely useful. The Sister of Battle. Normally, I would say very rarely are you ever going to touch these. More than likely, you're going to be using the combo weapons. The Sister of Battle is designed to use those combo weapons, and it uses them extremely good. Those combo weapons are amazing. But these are not bad weapons to use on them. The Sister of Battle also has access to not a heavy flamer, but a regular flamer, which that will be, a Sister of Battle exclusive weapon that I will cover when I do the actual Sister of Battle video for her weapons exclusives. So, the Sister of Battle does have some exclusive class-specific weaponry. But that is going to be it for the rifle class video. Hopefully you guys got a lot of information out of it. If you guys know anything special about, the shotgun, the Lasgun, or the Autogun that I do not, feel free to write down in the comments. Maybe I'm missing something that I am fully unaware of. Or maybe you guys agree with me. Maybe once you reach that level with the Crusader, they're just not good and it's better to go with the heavy weaponry. Let me know down in the comments. But, like I said, hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. And I will see you all in the next episode. Have a good day.